robots have feelings? Do robots need to schedule doctor's visits? Grab a coffee or tea because we're going to address these questions and more on this episode of Assembly Audible. Our guest today is sure to keep you on your toes. Lukas Ziegler is a robotics evangelist with a refreshing approach and significant social media presence. With over 26,000 followers on LinkedIn, his comments section is always full of opinions and insights. Who knew people were so opinionated about robots? What is at the center of the conversation? So we had to have Lukas on the show to learn more about his work and find out what the social media craze is all about. Lukas, welcome to Assembly Audible.
Hello, Jennifer. Uh, really nice to be here. So first of all, thanks for inviting me here.
Of
It's always a
course.
pleasure, to give maybe not a lecture, but to talk about robotics, which I am very passionate about.
Right.
And yeah, really hyped and glad to be here, and cannot wait to hear the questions.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. I've got my coffee ready. It's a great way to start the day. So, before we go into some specific questions, would you mind to tell our listeners about yourself and kind of like what's your mission?
Sure. So you kind of spoiled already the mission, mentioning the robotics evangelization, because what I try to do, I try to educate people that robots are not that scary. They are not Frankensteins of our century. They are machines that are going to help us to help us develop, to help us grow as people. So that's my mission, to tell all the people, don't be scared of them. Try to find a mutual language and work arm in arm with the robots. And I think we are going to talk about the various types of robots, from mobile robots, industrial arms, or even humanoid robots. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting, I guess.
Yeah, of course. So, what do you do? I mean, I've looked at your LinkedIn. I see that you're very active on social media, but you also have, of course, your day job, right? What do you do?
Yeah. So it's also a very robotics oriented field of study, I would say. I'm working in a startup called Kogena, which basically nobody asked me about this, but I'm definitely going to tell it. So Kogena means in Estonian experience, and our startup is its mission is to cure the robots. Yes, you heard it right, because a robot is never going to complain about its health. So you need to diagnose it, and you need to react faster and react before some mechanical breakdown happens. And that's where we are coming in. So we want to diagnose the robots, and we want to, let's say, run the production without the stoppages. So that's our main goal.
I
That's our
see.
main goal. Yeah.
Okay, great. And I also understand you have your own business that you're working on?
Let's say my business right now is related with this education and evangelization of robotics, but it's non-profit. I just try to feed my network, feed the society, and that I'm trying to build around my profile, just to have the awareness uh, about the robots and the
Yeah.
technology nowadays. So it's
Yeah.
non-profit, but I really enjoy that people are, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it's happening like this. So very glad that I can show something new to people that they don't know yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
one more question about you I have to ask. How
Yeah.
did you get LinkedIn famous?
You know what? That's the question I got asked very frequently, and it's really not that simple to answer it. It's quite complex. It didn't happen, from night to night. It wasn't like
Right.
one
Yeah.
day job. Yeah. So 3 or even 4 years back, I started posting almost every day about some technology related stuff, about drones, about robots, about some, uh, about Tesla, because we know that they are packed with the newest and emerging technologies. So I tried to give the value to the network by posting, and what I get in exchange was just, the uh, feeling that I helped someone to understand something.
Hmm.
And after 2 or 3 years, uh, it started really exponentially growing, but still 26,000. It's it's not this kind of hype or fame, but still it's a decent place to
Of
share my
course.
opinions or or
Absolutely. It means that people are genuinely interested in what you're doing. So that's great. Okay, well, thanks
yeah.
so much. So, is there anything else that we need to cover about you and your platform before we go into a few more questions?
I think that my platform will be covered and will be really touched when we go deeper into robotics and
Okay.
when we talk about the industrial applications using robots. So that's where I'm going to talk broader about my platform. But I
Okay.
think we are good. I'm already stressed. What questions have you prepared for me? So
Okay, let's dive right in there. I'm going to actually take a drink of my coffee.
okay. Sorry, I'm not drinking coffee because it's already afternoon here in Poland. So I'm just grabbing my glass of water and
Okay.
that's what I'm going to
Whatever
drink.
suits your fancy. I actually drink coffee all day. And when I get busy, sometimes my morning cup of coffee is still there in the afternoon. So, okay.
Okay.
So, before we delve further into some specific topics, let's cover a few basics. Can you tell our audience a little about the origins of robotics?
Yeah, definitely a good starter, I would say. So I live in Poland, and near Poland there is a country called Czech Republic, and in a previous century there was a novelist or a writer named Karl Czapek, and he wrote a book. Actually, it was a fantasy book, Universal Robots of Mr. Rossum, and he explained a word robot, which in Czech originally means like a slavery or a very monotonous job that people need to do throughout the day. And he called robot his tiny humanoidal colleagues, which were helping him with his daily tasks. So, robot, uh, technically speaking, robota means in Czech, as I said, slavery or a monotonous task that we need to accomplish. So when you think of it, robot is a machine that is going to help us with these daily tasks, and that's where it. And the word is already like 100 years old, and that's where it was born. I would say in Czech Republic almost 100 years ago. So that's the origin of the word. Yeah.
And certainly a lot, of course, so much has changed um, since then. But, it does seem like some of the context or the ideas around robots or robotics is still kind of connected to that original meaning, right?
Yeah, that's the greatest thing. Someone, a very visionary man, I would say, 100 years ago defined a machine called robot, and right now they are doing exactly what he predicted. So the robots are helping us out. They are not
Yeah.
steal. I will get back to that later about stealing the jobs because it's one of the most famous, claims about robots right now is I don't want a robot among me because he's stealing my job or something like this. But it's definitely not true.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about like what robots are currently being manufactured or on the market.
Okay. So let me start with the robots that people really could know from, I don't know, from television or maybe from YouTube. So they are called industrial arms because they really look like people arm. So they have 6 joints or 5 joints. It depends on the robot, but their job is basically to make the labor, like for example, welding or palletizing or machine tending, so working with the CNC machines, so or laser cutting. So the applications which you can already see the intersection of the application I've mentioned. So they are really tiny, they are dangerous when you think of it, and they are really monotonous. So you think of them like you are going to for 8 hours a shift a day, and you do the same stuff every time, like you are looped. So that's the kind of characteristic of a job that could be handed straight to the robot,
Okay.
in my opinion, of course.
So that's
So
kind of like that example sort of fits the traditional definition.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And when you think of the robotic arms, then you have something that is not that old yet, because when you think of an industrial robot, you need to go like in the 60s of the previous century. The first robot on the market, Unimate, which was installed in the General Motors plant, and I think it was also involved in some of kind of welding process related, something like this. But I could be wrong. Maybe if someone can, uh, when someone knows better, you can write down in the comments. You have also something like collaborative robots. So it means they are a bit more safe here. So they are more safe than the industrial robots, and they are more flexible. So, for example, you can imagine you can have one robotic cell working on Monday here, but you can take it out, plug it out, and move it to another robotic cell. So they are called cobots. I don't know if you've heard that terms already,
Yeah.
cobot.
Yeah, I feel
Okay.
like
Well,
everybody's talking about that. Is
yeah.
that so okay, the industrial arm is sort of the next hierarchy or level cobots, would you say, or does it not work like that?
Try to generalize it like it's the same tool, it's the same solution, but it's not solving the same problem, because industrial robots are great for a high volume production where you are really not having a lot of changeovers, or you, or you have a really, I don't know, big how to say it, big item production. So for example, when something weighs like, I don't know, 500 kilograms, you are not going to use a cobot, because what I said previously, cobots are safe, or they are more safe than industrial robots. So now
Yeah.
imagine if you are a worker, yeah, in a manufacturing industry, you're going just on the plant, and you see a cobot that is handling a 500 kilograms piece of metal, and
Mhm.
it doesn't have any fences, it doesn't have any safety equipment. So
Mhm.
how would you feel? Are you safe when you are coming near to that? No, because you are not. The biggest difference between those two solutions. So when you think about the industrial robot, they are always, but really always, correlated with a very, very high level safety and all the standardization of the machinery safety. So you need to make sure that no one gets hurt when he goes to that cell. And cobots are equipped with some sensors that can measure the force, so they will stop when, for example, you touch it. So it's more safe.
Okay, let me ask your opinion about something before we go into, I know there's a few other examples, but
Yep.
why is everybody talking about cobots right now?
Uh, you know what? People like to talk about things that are new, and cobots are relatively new, because the first cobot was produced, I don't know, in 2005. So it has not even 20 years old. They are not even 20 years old. But uh, production right now, from my perspective, what I've observed, it's more personalized. So everything wants to have his tiny signature of himself on the produced good. What it's and why I'm talking about this, we are not producing that much in the high volume production. So we need to have something flexible, so you can for example, change a tooling, and you can produce 20 pieces of these. Then after 1 hour you can produce 50 pieces of that, and it differs, but you can do it because you have a more flexible solution, I would say. Industrial robots
Okay.
are more like kind of fixed.
Uh-huh. I gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not like it's a hype, but it really answers the problems that are addressed in the manufacturing industry. So low mix right now, when we are hearing about the low mix, people are saying, I cannot use a robot because I have low mix, so I would need to change over every 30 minutes. And in terms of cobots, there are really a lot of tools, a lot of ecosystems that can help you just to adjust to those tiny series of production. So I think that's it, because of the direction that the production or manufacturing industry is going.
Okay. So what else is there? We have industrial arms, cobots. Is there anything else?
Yeah, and right now I would like to mention slightly different ones. So we were talking about robots that were kind of similar to our arms. Sorry for
Hmm.
the analogy; it's really trivial, but
No,
I
I
like
like it. It's
analogies.
funny.
So another kind of robots are, for example, mobile robots. So
Hmm.
this analogy is not a professional analogy, but it's just that everyone gets the point. So tiny mobile robots which can look like tiny cars that are driving in a plant. For example, they can deliver a pallet of produced goods from A to B, so from the production to the warehouse. And you also have at least couple of types of the robots. You have AGV, which is the abbreviation of automated guided vehicle, and they are not that flexible as the two that I'm going to mention next. So AGV is a kind of old technology, I would say, also like 50 years old. So you have a robot that is driving with the fixed routes on the plant, but it fixed. For example, if you place a pallet in front of the robot, it stops and it cannot overtake it because it has a fixed route, and it will just stop as long as you don't move the pallet of its road. Yeah. But the same, so the concept of, I'm going back to the cobots. So the
Okay.
concept of cobots, they were designed in Odense in Denmark, here in Europe. So in the same city in Odense, there were also a company called Mobile Industrial Robots, and they have designed out AMRs, so another type of mobile robot, autonomous mobile robot. So the difference between the AGV, automated guided vehicle, and the AMR is that the AMR is yet more flexible, because when you put a pallet, he can overtake it and he can go along. So he can plan the route, and he doesn't need any fixed materials into the floor because he is just autonomously driving. I can bet you've seen the movies with the Tesla module. So the car is autonomously driving through the city. Have you
Yeah.
seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, I
it's
think
it's
so.
kind of it's kind of similar, but just in a in a manufacturing industry. So you can tell the robot, "Hey, robot, take this pallet and go to the warehouse."
Uh-huh.
But the robot will drive even if there are people on the road,
Okay.
even if
I
there are
got you.
pallets of the road. So that's it.
Okay, so are there any other main types that we should cover?
And within also the mobile robots, there are also you definitely have seen something like a forklift
Yeah.
in your life. Yeah. So we also have autonomous forklifts. So like a forklift, but without the operator, without the person that drives it. So it just has a, let's say, artificial intelligence module inside, and it can decide how to drive, when to drive, and what to pick up. So it's also kind of AMR, but in the form of a forklift. And then we have the most scary ones, I think, because they
Yes.
are,
Now we're getting into the good stuff.
yeah, I'm not an expert if it comes to humanoid robots, because that's what I wanted to mention. So it's the robots that, which figures are very similar to people, because they have
Yeah.
faces, they have expressions, they
Yeah.
have hands. And one of them I've heard, its name was It's or Hers. I don't know how to say it, but let's say it's. I don't know the pronouns, but its name was Sophia, and it's the only robot that has an official passport in Arabia. So the robot even got its own passport
Yeah.
and also
Well,
ID, I guess. So that's crazy.
I mean, when you say things like that, it's like I kind of understand why people are scared.
Yeah. But you see the point. We've been talking like for a couple of minutes about the robots that are really bringing value into our lives.
Yeah.
And right now we are talking
Yeah.
about the robots that are scaring people
Exactly.
out. And then people try to generalize it and they say robots are bad or robots are scary. Not all the robots are scary. For example, I'm not scared of the humanoid robots, but a couple of years ago, I was greeted by receptionist robot in one of the hotels in Hungary, and I didn't know how to behave. I didn't even want to say a word to that robot because I would like how it can even reply to me. But I said like, "Hello, my name is Lukas, and I booked here a room. Hello, Mr. Ziegler. I know that you booked a room here. Here is your key." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's really happening." It was 2018, so it was 4 years ago. So you know, they can
Yeah.
be scary. They can be scary. I forgot about, maybe not forgot, but I skipped another type of robots which I want to go before we go to the humanoidal ones. So the service robots. Why? Because they are connected. Because humanoidal robot could be a service robot. Service robots are for, let's say, more like for this B2C market. So they don't need to produce anything. They don't need to bring value into manufacturing. But for example, they can deliver you drinks in a restaurant. So a mobile robot that is driving to you with a glass of water and with a meal that you ordered. Or for example, iRobot that were acquired right now by Amazon. You've heard of that? So this vacuum cleaner that is deployed in many houses in America, and that's also an interesting case because imagine you have a iRobot or Roomba robot. I don't know which is more popular, but this tiny robot that is driving in your home, in your house, in your flat, and it has cameras, and it also has a microphone, so it can hear everything, it sees everything. So now you can think of what data those companies have about us. For example, the robot is driving and they know you have a red carpet.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a lady, with a big probability you are going to buy red curtains because, why not to match them? So
Yeah.
really a lot of complex data that people are not aware of, the robots are collecting. And
Oh,
that's
predicting
also,
stuff. Yeah.
yes, because it's connected. You have this Alexa, yeah,
Uh-huh.
from Amazon.
Yeah.
Right now they have iRobot. So imagine they can tell through Alexa something to the iRobot, and they store every information you say to them in a database. So they can, they have a lot of data about the users, really a
Yeah.
lot. So
Yeah.
then they can personalize the ads. They can personalize the,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the discounts that they are offering to you, that maybe you are going to buy it because it
Yeah.
suits to you. It suits you. It
Yeah.
matches your, yeah. So that's it. But yeah,
Okay.
sorry I interrupted. Maybe let's go to the humanoidal ones because I know you have a lot of questions about them.
Oh, I think the humanoid ones are funny. I know that there are famous movies with humanoid robots. Tell me more about humanoids.
Yeah. So, but yeah, from the definition,
Hmm.
as everybody can suspect, humanoid is a robot that is very, very similar to a human. So people that are making the humanoids, they try to recreate our emotions, they try to recreate our movements, they try to recreate everything what is human. People are scared because because people think those robots think by themselves, and they have their own awareness and they are aware of everything, and it's not 100% true, because you need to know that humanoid robot is a machine, and it's going to perform, it's going to do things what the people tell it to do.
Hmm.
So for example, if you give a rifle or a gun to the robot and you say shoot people, it will be killing people, but
Hmm.
it is still from the order of the human, so it's not
Right.
an autonomous decision.
Well, and the story or the fairy tale or, I mean,
Yeah.
horror movie is the
Okay.
common concept is that somehow the humanoid separates from the person who's controlling it and starts making its own decisions, right? And then they lose control. That, I mean, you see that theme a lot in movies and, like, and then they have to go chase and find the robot and regain control over it.
Yeah, but I think you're referring to this British book from 19th century, Frankenstein. Yeah, for
Yeah.
example, it was the first one when the concept was
Yeah,
made.
you created a
Yes,
monster. Like you didn't mean to, and
yes,
you thought you had every facet or everything figured out, and then all of a sudden you lose control. That's I think actually, now that we're talking about it, maybe that is why people are scared. They feel as though
yeah,
we may create something that we lose control of.
yes, because there is a very, very weird diagram or very weird graph. So the innovation is going faster than the standardization, and that's the case because you can have a honeypot when you have applications when you can't control on what you've created. For example, I've seen and I've posted it on LinkedIn Unity robot. It looks like a dog. It's a dog bot, maybe, or a dog robot. And the robot learned how to walk in 60 minutes with an algorithm called Dreamer. So I don't want to go into details because I'm also not an expert in terms of artificial intelligence or machine learning, and it's on the edge of that. And but the conclusion is that the robot was laying down on its back, and within 16 minutes, the robot was able to learn how to walk.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I can imagine that when it can learn how to walk in 60 minutes, while we as people, we are doing it in months,
Yeah.
what he can learn within hours or days or weeks.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And uh, in this part, I'm also kind of maybe not scared, but I'm really sure that we need to really looking closely what we are developing and what are the innovations that are being created,
Mm-hmm.
because we really need to be the ones that are controlling it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's because you know what happened to Frankenstein. Yeah?
Yeah.
This doctor left, and then the monster just left the castle and started haunting. All this
Yeah.
crazy stuff happened there. So people
the
didn't control it properly.
That's actually a really big responsibility for us, for humanity.
Yeah, definitely we need to really take care of what we are creating, because it
Mm-hmm.
can be dangerous. But yeah, people need to have the context also, as I said before. So awareness, building the awareness, and knowing what is good, what is bad, and what you need to control and what you can leave, because it is not going to you know uh,
Yeah.
take over the world. For example, I cannot imagine an industrial robot that is going to weld two legs to its arm, and it's going to take over the whole production plant, and it's going to
Right.
fire people and
Right.
no, definitely not.
And the end, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
you mentioned LinkedIn, and one thing that I really liked or I like about your page is that you share a lot of fascinating visuals. Top 5 developments or things that you've seen or shared recently that are
Yeah.
sure to blow people's minds. So perhaps when you answer this question, we can also link it to some kind of content or social media post where people can find the links.
I decided to present cases that are very creative and very innovative, and they are definitely not as scary ones. So you can see the bright side of the robotics. And
Yeah.
I would really like to start about the robot boot black. It's the word that I learned recently, how it's called in English. So it's boot black, and actually it's a case that Nike has created a robotic cell which acts like as I said, like a boot black. So you can deliver your worn out shoes from Nike, of course, and they are going to clean it. They are going to remove the laces. They are going to put some nice looking stickers on that, and they are being restored.
I
So
love
an
that.
automated boot black station, very nice. And of course, I'm going to provide you with a link, because it's mesmerizing to watch. Maybe just to go right now into manufacturing industry, because it's assembly podcast. Let's
Right.
go into
For
that.
sure.
So
We
uh
can't have all the
so
fun.
yes, so there is a startup called GrayMatter Robotics. So they have a product which is called Scan and Send,
Hmm.
and it's based on the cobot. As you said, it's very popular, so it's also based on the cobot. But I think not only, they are also using industrial robots. But what it is, so they also observe that there is a gap when you want, because they are aiming at the sending industry. Yeah, they are just sending things, and they have a solution which can adjust autonomously by itself. You just put the item you want to send, you want to be get sent, and it's going to get scanned, and the robot will automatically calculate the path or the trajectory it should be doing, and it's going to send the placed item. So it's great because it's flexible, and
Hmm.
you really can put what you want, and it's going to adapt to it. So very adaptive solution. So I know I'm using a lot of times words like flexible, adaptive, but those words are actually being how to say it, forced by the manufacturing industry to use them. because we need to be flexible and we
Mm-hmm.
need to adapt
Mm-hmm.
to what we need to produce. So also great mentioning company GrayMatter Robotics. It's worth to keep eye on them because I think they have great potential. I've
Okay.
seen they got already next round of the venture capital. So yeah, looks really promising, I would say. And another one, it's
Number three.
AMP number three, number
Yeah.
three, and
Okay.
yeah, it's AMP Robotics, and they are basically sorting the recyclables materials. So what they do, they have a robot which is called a Delta robot. So it's a very fast robot. It another cheesy analogy, it looks kind of like a spider because it needs to move very fast, but I will provide you with a video and
Ooh, I
maybe
can't
it will
wait
be
to
not
see
that
this
cheesy.
one. Hey, I thought you said you
And
weren't going to do scary ones.
no, not yet, not yet, it's
Okay.
not yet.
Okay. Sorry. Continue on.
Yeah, so they are sorting the recyclables materials by having a vision system with AI on top of that. So they are analyzing what recyclable is actually going on the conveyor, and they are picking it out and yeah, recyclable is to specific bins. So it's also nice because I've seen a lot of videos how it looked before or how it looks right now because they are just starting how people need to do it. Just imagine how many people you need to, sort those things out from a big conveyor belt. So yeah, they are doing also a great job. As I said, maybe not a dangerous, but very monotonous and not a job that maybe a lot of people would like to do. Uh, because it's also a case that I don't want to talk about as we spoke before about the generational problems. But right now, a lot of people don't like to work in the manufacturing, the warehousing, and the production industry. So we lack so there is a problem with the labor and is problem with people to hire. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to fill that gap with something. And I'm really
Yeah.
glad that people are thinking about it and they are just, designing new solutions to cover that up.
Yeah. Interesting. Number four.
So it's from the American company Boston Dynamics. People know very well Boston Dynamics. I think you got them. They have this yellow dog robot called Spot, but they have also a robot called Stretch. And Stretch is a very funny robot because it's a robot which is a robotic arm, but it is also a mobile robot. So it has a robotic arm placed on a mobile robot. And you can imagine that they have designed a robot which is going directly to the trucks and they are unloading the boxes from the trucks. What the robot has, it also brings a conveyor belt. It attaches it to its mobile platform and it is just putting the boxes out of the truck, putting on the conveyor, putting the box out of the truck, putting on the conveyor. So no need of the human. The robot just goes into the truck and makes it empty. So wow, when I've seen it for the first time, I said this has also a great potential in terms of having those labor issues. Really great.
Okay. So
Yeah.
now we're at number five, top developments or things you've seen that are sure to blow people's minds.
Okay. So it will be also around the robotic arms oriented topics. So the Google AI Lab has created uh, a language that allows you to write to the robot, to speak to the robot with our human natural language, and the robot is converting that into the most possible actions it can take. For example, you are placing a pack of Pringles chips and you're placing a bottle of Coke, and you can say to the robot like, "Dear robot, please pick this Coke and put it into this cardboard that is staying here near the table." And the robot is translating every word into that, and then it's converting into most uh, probable actions, and it's just happening. So I'm also going to link that, so you will be able, when someone just is writing to the robot, pick it up, and robot it actually is picking it up. So I think they are also called cognitive robots.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the perception from the human. They can hear us, Yeah, and they can understand what we are telling them. So also very interesting. And in advance, sorry that I haven't put any Frankenstein-esque cases in the 5 top developments here.
You're letting me down. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you focus on the positive, and yeah, we'll be sure to include those links so people can check out the top five advancements or developments that are on your radar. Okay, well, moving into serious matter. I'm just kidding, but because this is assembly, so in terms of assembling parts into finished products, in your opinion, what are the most impressive technologies that we're currently seeing, and where do you see things heading in the future?
It's a great question because it also opens up the topic of the characteristic of the current machines and robotics they have, and people don't have, for example. For example, robots are very accurate and repetitive. So they are basically very precise. Sometimes it's like, I don't know, it's 0.0001 millimeter. So imagine being an operator or being an employee in a manufacturing industry and you're doing something for 8 hours straight.
Yeah.
So if you would be able to keep up with the precision you are supposed to be kept up. So the robots is always with the same precision. So right now we see a simple schematic where people are taking out a simple ROI calculator and they try to calculate their labor costs of an employee, and they can calculate how much does a robot or a machine costs, and they can see if the cost is going to pay back within 2 3 years or 5 years, depends on the country.
Hmm.
uh, they are saying, yes, I'm investing into technology. Yeah, so that's how it is. But
Hmm.
uh, I also see a trend where people try to replace human when there is a very dangerous task. For example, it's a great example. You have a conveyor belt and you have boxes or packages that are going through that belt, and an operator needs to pick it up from the belt and place it on the pallet. It's simple palletizing operator. Yeah. But I've seen a lot of women working in that sector, and the box are more than 15 kilograms, sometimes 20 kilograms. They are heavy. So imagine the problems that could be with the backs of the women and the health. Maybe not in 1 year, but maybe in 20 years. So what will be the output doing such a monotonous job day by day, 8 hours by day hours, carrying so heavy stuff. And right now it's not about the ROI. It was, I don't know, maybe 10 years before, but it's also a tendency to take out the jobs that are, of course, financially good in some way,
Yeah.
but
Right. Right.
also that they taking the risks of potential or hazardous area like injuries.
Hmm.
So I'm really glad that it's going into that direction, because people started not, yeah, let's care about our employees. Let's do
Yeah.
it, because we need to care about them, because, maybe
Yeah.
in 10 years, we are not going to have people around us because
Hmm.
people don't want to work here. So that's how I see it's moving. But in terms of applications, I would see robots also, definitely applications when you need to be precise and very accurate. As I said, they can do repetitive tasks hour by hour, and they won't get bored. They are not going for a cigarette break or something. So and the last characteristics, because in terms of directions, I think I was clear enough what kind of spaces we are trying to cover up. But also another characteristics, as I said, it's that we need to be resistant to changeovers. As I said, we are producing very personalized goods nowadays, and we
Hmm.
need to be resistant to changeovers. So we need to have tools, production tools that allows us to do so. And I believe robots are the machines designed to keep up and to kept us very resistant from those very frequent changeovers. So yeah, that's it in terms of the assembling topics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
Hmm.
Okay, well, so to close our conversation today, do you mind if we play a round of robotics, true or false?
Every single exam on my college in my college, I love those questions. Or
All
false.
right, so let's
False.
start putting you on the spot with some difficult true or false questions about robots.
Sure, sure.
True or false? Robots are replacing humans or stealing jobs.
They are replacing humans, but they are not stealing jobs. Fair
Okay,
enough.
so it's true. Robots are replacing humans.
Yeah, because technically speaking, they can replace a human, but it's not a stealing of a job. So back in the day, I used to sell robots and cobots, and
Uh-huh.
when I was selling cobots, there was not a single case when an operator from the process that I have installed and sold the robot was fired. He was just moved to a more responsible job. For
Yeah,
example, instead of putting something into the machines, he was taking it out from the robot and he was measuring it, because that's what we are creating to let's more sophisticated jobs, to a
this
more
is a great
complicated
point.
jobs.
Yeah,
And that's why I said replace, because human didn't get fired. He just went to another station, maybe in the office, or maybe not in the office, but maybe to another more advanced job, not just putting something and taking out.
yeah.
But stealing jobs, no. I'm going false with that. So
Okay,
uh,
great. Yeah, I like
false.
that point you made is really cool because I was actually thinking that when you were talking about, assembly, is that I was thinking, so if people are replaced by robots, then what will people do? And it may give us a way to do better and more things, to apply yourself in new ways if you get out of, redundancy. Okay, so our second true or false question, robots only perform tasks that are laborious or things that humans don't want to or can't do.
99% yes.
Okay.
But I would leave this 1% gap for some anomalies and some exceptional applications. For example, I've posted some time ago an application when the robot is opening the beers and pouring it. So uh, I'm I'm seeing you're smiling, and I think you're referring to this one. But yeah, it's exactly the 1% that I wanted to get left here on that question, on
Uh-huh.
those applications.
Okay, cool. All right. So the third true or false question, and again, as a disclaimer, because, this is for
Mm-hmm.
entertainment purposes only.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
Okay.
these are not, this is not a black and white type of
Okay.
thing. It's just for fun. Okay, so true or false? Robots are eternal, meaning they are invincible and don't need maintenance.
A big no, unless you are a Tony Stark. So,
Okay, good answer.
uh,
All right. So, robots do have feelings. True or false? False. Okay.
yeah,
Robots don't have feelings.
I would say true. They don't
Okay.
have feelings. They don't
Okay.
have feelings. They have perception, but definitely not
Okay.
feelings.
Interesting. Okay, that's a good point. Robots can do anything and everything humans can do and better. True or false?
False. We are the creators of the robots. So we are the origins. They are the copies. They can do what we tell them to do. They can. Uh, the the proof is, if I said yes, then a robot would create a robot, and we don't have such a case. So false.
Okay. True or false? Robots are capable of taking over jobs and then taking over the world.
uh,
We're not
you
supposed
know
to
what?
hesitate on this one. You're supposed to say
No,
false.
no, no. It's just for fun. No. Definitely no. I was just giggling because
Well, you
I
got
was
me.
imagining. No, I was imagining. In 30 or 30 years, when I'm with my, I don't know, grandchildren, and I watch this podcast, and I'm just sitting as a slave of the
Yeah.
robots, and then the grandpa, you were wrong. Yes, I
You
was.
might have to take back some of the things you said. That's okay. And thank you for playing the true or false game. I
Mhm.
appreciate you going along with it because I know you might have felt a little pressure. But okay, I want to talk about one last thing before we close today. And that is you mentioned in a conversation we had previously about robots going to the doctor. Can you talk just a little bit about that?
It's basically my opinion that we will need a lot of high quality and very high skilled engineers that are going to take care of our robots, because there are currently 3 million pieces of robots around the world in the manufacturing industry, and it's going to be more than 5 millions before we cross the 2025. It's a lot. So we really need to have a lot of qualified people to take care of it. And I think it's also the era of solutions like diagnostics platform, which can basically say when the robot is going to break down, when the robot is going to need, to replace the oil inside, or replace the joint, when it's going to wear out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the diagnostics platform will be the future of the uh, maintenance of the robots, because we lacked data. Right now we are in the times where we are collecting the data of the robots, and we try to get to know the robots. And when we get the data, we can diagnose it, we can analyze it, and we can give out some insights, so we can react quicker, and the robots can serve longer. Of course, not eternal, as you have asked me in one of the true or false questions, but
Yes.
we can drastically increase the lifespan of a robot by taking care of that. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's why I also work in Cogena, because I try to deliver those values. I try to serve the lifetime of the robots that is going to increase. Yeah. So that's what I think, that those platforms one day maybe will be called, like, robots monitoring center, or robots diagnostic centers, something like this. Maybe one day. It's definitely that direction, because people are paying a lot of money to service and maintain those robots. And just a case, imagine you have a working line, conveyors, machines, and you are producing a lot of stuff, and you just want to produce it, put it into warehouse, and tell your salesman to sell it as soon as he can, and your robot stops out of the sudden. Yeah. And you
Mm.
can produce, but you don't know what happened. You need
Yeah.
to come repair it, and you are losing money every minute.
That's a supply
So
chain disruption.
yes, exactly, in the beginning of the process of the supply chain section. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah.
And that's why you would like to know when the robot is going to break down, or where you need to maintain it, and where you need to take some actions to do it. That's why I think it's super relevant and important to make it happen.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. Where can people learn more about you or follow you, learn about your company?
Basically, everything what I do on LinkedIn, because the platform delivers me a lot of fun and a lot of connections. That's why I try to stick there. As I said, it's a non-profit. It's a non-profit for me. So if anyone that is listening up and have some ideas, maybe some comments, maybe I said something that they don't agree with, agree, not angry, then hit me up. I'm
Yeah.
more than happy to answer any of your comments, really. You know
Awesome.
where to find me. I think Jennifer will just
Oh, yes.
tag me there or something.
All
Timer
direct
there.
all difficult questions to Lucas.
Yes,
Okay, well,
yes.
thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Assembly Audible. For more insights on assembling discrete parts and to finished products and the people behind it all, visit our website, assemblymag.com. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast to keep up with our latest episodes. We're also on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, so we invite you to follow us there too. This has been Assembly Audible. Thanks for listening.